Alright guys, what's going on? I'm just out here doing some yard work and decided to make a video. It is another hot one, guys. Whew. So, before I get started, thanks to all my subs, members. If you're not a sub, not a member, thank you for watching, if you just watch it. And if you want to support the channel, you can just become a member, hit that join button. It's 99 cents a month. I think that's the lowest I could get YouTube to do. I think that's the lowest tier YouTube does. So you can always do that if you want to support the channel. But let's talk about this little baby in Georgia. Let's see. Oh, it was in Metro Atlanta. It was a Metro Atlanta hospital where a baby was decapitated. Claims the infant died in utero prior to delivery. So, okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about this. There's several things about this I want to talk about and how things will probably play out. Don't know, but I'm using the word probably. So, now the hospital is saying that, you know, the infant was basically dead before delivery happened. Let's see here. The Metro Atlanta hospital where the newborn was decapitated during childbirth last month claims that the baby died in utero prior to delivery and wasn't decapitated until after his death. And this happened at Southern Regional Medical Center, wherever that, I guess it's in somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. And the families filed a lawsuit. So it says here, the baby became stuck about 10 hours into Ross's labor. That must have been the mom, Miss Ross, and was eventually decapitated when the family's doctor attempted for hours to pull him out. Is it that hard, guys, to deliver a baby that is not coming out the right way? Because I hear the baby wasn't coming out the right way. I don't know what they call it, whatever, but 10 hours. Okay, so, you know, if this does go to trial, if this does go to court, I'm going to act like I'm a juror. Or hell, I'll act like I'm a judge at this point. So, you know, because jurors and judges are not medical professionals. So, I mean, the first thing I'm going to ask is, why did it take 10 hours? Even if there were complications. You know what I mean? So, I would have to ask the lawyers or some kind of medical expert to take the stand and explain to me how complications, and if it's normal for complications during a delivery, would require 10 hours to fix a stuck baby, you know. I mean, because it just sounds weird, you know. It just, you know, you've got a stuck baby and it takes 10 hours to remove it, and then when you do, it's missing its head. So that's the first thing I would like for. If any of you guys are medical professionals on here or anything like that and you're watching this, please explain to me this. Because it says here the baby became stuck. Oh, never mind. The baby became stuck 10 hours into Ross's labor. Okay. Sorry, I read that wrong, guys. Sorry. I'm hot. Never mind. Scratch. So, the baby became stuck 10 hours into her labor. Okay, so it didn't take them 10 hours to... Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Woo! Old Dawn B's loot. I'm going to drink me some Gatorade. Now, what I would like to know, if you're a medical professional, is... because these are questions probably the jury and the judge is going to have. You know, the prosecution or whatever, if there's charges. Number one, yeah, I heard the baby was not coming out the right way. Number two, you know, why wasn't, because it said that the emergency procedures wasn't activated or anything like that. Let me find that here. Right here it is. It says there is no documentation of any nurse or doctor activating an emergency OB protocol in a timely manner after the shoulder dystocia was recognized. So, if you're a medical professional, is there an emergency OB protocol when the shoulder dystocia is, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, dystocia? Is there an emergency protocol in that situation? I'm sure, you know, you've got like universal health care protocols on about every situation out there, whether it be a heart attack, stroke, whatever. So in this case, you know, should there have been an emergency protocol activated? So that's one question I've got. Let's see. Golly. Between the motorcycles and the rice burners, whew, the lawsuit states that about an hour before the baby was eventually delivered by C-section, fetal heart tone stopped. Alright, so I guess the next question is, were they planning on doing a natural delivery and it just went wrong? Is that why no C-section was performed? Was there complications where maybe a C-section should have been performed in the beginning? Could this have been prevented by taking, you know, precautionary steps, other means besides a natural delivery? You know what I mean? Could it have been prevented based on what the doctors and nurses knew? So I've had a lot of people ask me questions, so let me explain a little bit of stuff to you here. People are asking me, because yeah, in the article here it says that the doctor, it says here, the doctor is not and never has been an employee of the hospital. So let me address that right there. And a lot of people are saying, you know, well, if the doctor wasn't an employee of the hospital, what were they doing there? Well, the way it works, now I know this because of my hospital bills. the doctors are contractors of the hospital, okay? And like in Kingsport, the doctors work for Southeast Regional Southeast Physicians. That's it, Southeast Physicians. That's who the doctors in Kingsport work. So if you go to the hospital in Kingsport, you know, where Summerwell's grandma went, was that Holston Valley Medical Center, the doctors there, not unless the name's changed to the business the doctors worked for, but Southeast Physicians is who the doctors used to work for that work at Holston Valley Medical Center. So now, it still doesn't mean they can't sue nobody. They'll just have to sue the company that the doctors were working for. They can sue the doctor. I'm sure doctors probably carry at least minimum of, you know, $250,000 malpractice. There's like a minimum doctors have to cover, you know, on their malpractice insurance. So yeah, they'll just have to sue. The family will just have to sue. You know, they can sue the doctor. They can sue who the doctor worked for. And they can sue the hospital if now it says here the doctor never has been an employee of the hospital. Well, I can tell you this, there were probably some OB nurses in that delivery room, you know, so yeah, the hospital probably did have staff more. Well, I probably guarantee they had staff in that delivery room that worked for the hospital. They probably had OB nurses in there, and other OB staff in there that worked for the hospital that knew about this, that if it comes to light that they did try to cover it up, that will face charges, you know, and then therefore the family has a right to sue those employees that, you know, they have a right to sue the hospital, because if those employees took part in if it comes to light that the employees took part in a criminal act in that delivery room, then the hospital is going to get sued. No doubt about it, right? No doubt about it. So that's where it stands on that. So, so as far as suing the doctor, yeah, they can go after the company that the doctor works for, and they can go after the doctor. They can go after the nurses, the hospital that the nurses worked for, which is probably that hospital. So that's probably how this is going to play out if it goes to court. Now a lot of people say, do you think they'll settle? It just depends. You know what their attorney will probably seek, and this is just my opinion, but the attorney will, you know, definitely seek changes that the hospital will have to adhere to when, you know, if there was wrongdoing in this. This is if there was wrongdoing in this, okay, guys? So the attorney will seek protocol changes and stuff the hospital will have to adhere to after all this is said and done going forward, if the family wins the lawsuit, you know, or they settle. I'm not sure in a settlement if there's going to be like rules of a settlement. This is all, you know, new to me, but there will probably be, if they do settle, there'll probably be stuff that the hospital has to do to keep this from happening in the future, you know what I mean? And there will be more than likely you know, damages awarded to the family And, you know, of course, they'll probably go after definitely emotional and other stuff, you know. What was that one charge that they were probably looking at? Hold on here. Okay, here's the charges that they could be looking at: failure to report a death, concealing a death, and involuntary manslaughter. So that's the charges that right now they're probably looking at, depending on the outcome of the investigation. So, and apparently the hospital said they notified the medical examiner's office. The medical examiner's office is saying, no, we weren't notified until the funeral home notified us. So it sounds like by the hospital coming out and making that statement, and the medical examiner's office coming out and making the statement they did, it's making it sound like the hospital did lie. You know what I mean? And it does make it sound like the hospital is trying to cover it up. You know, I don't want to, you know, say they are trying to cover it up, but if the hospital is saying that they notified the medical examiner's office, and the medical examiner's office is saying, you know, the first time we heard of this was from the funeral home, something's wrong here. And let me find it. See if I can read it here. Yeah, here it is. Well, the funeral home were first to tell the child's parents about what happened. You know, finding the baby's head decapitated. And the funeral home encouraged them to get a private autopsy performed, because, yeah, there could be, because obviously the autopsy is performed by, you know, city or state staff, and, you know, there I can see a little bit of corruption going on here to minimize the damages that the hospital has to go through. Wouldn't probably be the first time. Let's see. And anyway, the medical examiner's office said that, you know, they're grateful for the funeral home, you know, making a call to them and reporting it and being brave enough to bring it to their attention. Now, it does say here that the state law does require doctors and medical staff to report certain hospital deaths to the medical examiner's office, something investigators said medical staff failed to do. Let me see if I can find where. Yeah, here's where the medical examiner's office is. It says, oh, here it is. Okay, so it says here, quote, and this is from an employee of the hospital. Quote, the hospital voluntarily reported the death to the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office and is cooperating with all investigations. The employee of the hospital is quoted saying. Okay, so the hospital is saying that it voluntarily reported the death to the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office. So they're going to have to prove when they done that and how they done that. Okay, but it says right below it, however, in a statement issued by the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office Thursday, the medical examiner claims the first time they heard about the baby's decapitation was when the funeral home alerted them. So, yeah. That right there makes it sound really sketchy. Now, the hospital could have notified the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office. How did they do it? Was it in a manner, I mean, was it by phone? Was it by, through another, I mean, was it, did the ME send an employee down there to pick the baby up, and they let that employee know, and that employee just never told anybody? You know what I mean? There could be a lack of communication in this process. That's why the hospital may have reported it, but there may have been a failure in the communication process somewhere along the way between the hospital and it getting to whoever it was supposed to get to the medical examiner's office. You know what I mean? But the hospital's going to have to prove when and how they reported it, and there's definitely going to be an investigation into why the hospital is saying they did report it to the ME, but the ME is saying that they basically didn't. They were made aware of it by the funeral home. So I'm gonna follow this, guys. I'm gonna follow this. We'll see. We'll see if I'm close to how this is going to play out. In my opinion, the hospital's definitely going to want to settle, and they'll probably want to settle in a hurry, because number one, this has probably gotten international attention. It's definitely gotten a lot of media attention here in the U.S., and they don't want that. These businesses, the hospital, at the end of the day, the hospital is a business, okay? If they don't make no money, they don't stay in business. That's the way it works. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they're a business. Businesses don't want negative spotlight on this being put out there. So, 9 times out of 10, they'll settle, or they'll try to settle, and then it'll be up to the family's attorney to say, okay, the attorney will probably say, we feel like we've got a pretty good trial case here. Let's take it to trial. You know what I mean? So ultimately, it's going to be up to the family and the family's attorney to say, okay, I've reviewed the case, and if we take it to trial, we can expect this. If we don't take it to trial and you settle, obviously you can expect this. But if the family's attorney has their best interest in mind, it's just not about the money. Which, yeah, if you want to definitely punish someone, you do hit them in the pocketbook, right? But it's about making changes too, and make sure that this doesn't happen to another family. If, and I'm saying if, the hospital is in the wrong, the doctors and nursing staff is in the wrong, and stuff wasn't done right, and crimes were committed here. So you want to make sure that if crimes were committed here and stuff was done in the wrong manner, you want to make sure that that never happens again to another family, because Miss Ross is going to have to deal with this the rest of her life. You know what I mean? The family's going to have to deal with this emotional tragedy for the rest of their life. And it's just something you can't rewind and have a do-over on. You know what I mean? So, but we're going to follow this here, and we'll see how this plays out. Let me know in the comments below what you think about my thoughts on this. Let me know if you think I'm spot on. Let me know if there's stuff I didn't think about. If you're a medical professional and you want to chime in and give your thoughts on this, give your thoughts on what I said, let me know if I'm close to this. Let me know if I'm close. If you're an attorney or you're in the legal profession, let me know if you think I'm very close on how this will probably play out, because I'm curious about that. So drop some comments below, guys, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching this little episode. Definitely more to come, and hey, stay safe out there. I think the heat index today is supposed to be like 105, so I think I'm gonna go in now and cool off and drink some sweet tea. So y'all take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.